full attention to school. Now, we need to sit down with the school board and with Dr. Hackett, who's the superintendent of schools, and figure out why is the high school in the bottom 10%. Do we need to do more tests with the children? Do we need to give them some tutors? Do we need to update the books? Do we need to, bring in teachers, from other areas to boost these children's test scores? It's just a whole gamut of things that can go wrong as to why these children are not why they're not performing to their full capacity.
Well, do you have anything to add, Jude or Jean, as far as education is concerned?
Well, I taught in Irvington for 10 years, and I'm fully aware of the educational problems in Irvington. And to add to Ms. Perso, I agree fully about the plan that she has in mind. And I will add to that after-school programs, and definitely for the children to be busier after school, and after-school program implementing also recreational activities. And I think that will be a plus. We have the good ideas, and we will be able to share them with the Board of Education for the best interest of Irvington.
What about you, Gene?
Well, I believe as mayor, one of the things I would be working with is working close with the superintendent of schools and the Board of Education to go down to Trenton, and also to have grant writers to help write grants so we can have programs not just after school but also before school where they can have breakfasts. Kids can eat breakfast. They have meals, because when you're hungry, you really don't think about nothing to learn about, or you don't think about anything but trying to feed yourself. We can also help out with getting coats. Many of the kids are wearing triple T-shirts thinking that's a style or to keep themselves warm, but they really have no coats. We can work with the municipality, even though they're not joined together, they're separate. They can work together with the Board of Education to help enhance a lot of the things that they need: school books, computers, laptop technologies, food. They can do all those things to work with them. They got to work together. Our town is divided. They need to be joined together, back together.
Now, Mandela said, Nelson Mandela, this is a quote from Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world.
And I agree.
And that was a really significant quote, by Mandela. But I also have a quote that says, your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. And the only reason why I use that quote is because I'm actually from Trinidad and Tobago. And from growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, I grew up in one of the poorest areas in Trinidad and Tobago. And I used to have a saying that we grew up so poor, they dropped the OR. We were just poor. That's how poor we grew up. But I also said to myself, your circumstances will determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. Now, let's talk about extracurricular activities, because I feel that it's important to keep kids busy. And if a township has a lot of extracurricular activities, you are keeping the kids busy from doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. Talk a little bit about that. Let's start talking. Let's start with Jude. Jude, talk a little bit about. I noticed we have the campaign manager. He wants to introduce himself. So we have the campaign manager introduce himself, and he's the guy who actually put all this thing together here. So, Mr. Campaign Manager.
Well, thank you very much for giving me more credit than is due to me. I really appreciate it. But on the serious side, though, I would
you
like
got to introduce yourself. Then.
Oh,
you gotta
yes.
tell you,
I'm sorry. My name is Harry Perryman, and I am one of the strategists for this team, the team that's going to change Irvington, the rescue team. And the reason I joined this team because this team is a well-balanced team. When you look at the team and when you compare the team to the problems in Irvington, the number one problem in Irvington obviously is safety, and it's police protection. Okay? So how does that relate? It has a domino effect. I will tell you firsthand that where there is high crime, businesses will leave in droves. When there's high crime, people would not come out to shop. My mother, for example, has not shopped in Irvington for over 10 years. She bypasses a bank and goes all the way to Springfield to the same bank. Why? Because she does not feel safe. And I'm speaking for my mother, but multiply that by 10,000 residents in Irvington. The elderly in Irvington do not feel that they are in a safe environment, and they do not feel that safety issues being dealt with. Now, coming back to educational choices for young people, there is a direct link between education, or the lack of education, or the lack of opportunities in education and after-school programs, and juvenile delinquencies. Okay? I'm a former educator myself. I have run after-school programs. I have run robotic programs. And I have seen firsthand the benefits of those programs in reducing, number one, the negative activities of young people. Most of our young people don't wake up and decide that they want to commit a crime. They have no alternative. We have to invest. And when I say invest into our young people in Irvington, I am talking about significant investment. We must view after-school programs, Saturday programs, summer programs, internship programs as a way of reducing crime. 80% of all crimes committed in Irvington is probably committed by someone that's under the age of 24. Okay? So how are we going to do that? What's the strategy to reduce crime, empower our young people, provide opportunities for them? Well, look, everyone is not going to go to college. Years ago, we used to have the vocational schools. They've all been closed. I think we need to reconsider reinvesting in alternative school system, or partner with institutions such as Essex County or other institutions that are doing a good job in transitioning young people from high school to work readiness program and getting them involved in economic development through job training. So the mayor's office and the councilor, they need to be intricately involved in that. For years, when I run soccer program, I run tennis programs in Irvington. We have a soccer with a Trinidadian brother, yours, Mr. Nduna. Nduna and his wife. One of the largest soccer program that has over 100 kids in that program, right? Now, you would think that we have a very strong relationship with the township and the mayor's office. Absolutely not.
You know, and that is a good point, because what it is that I know Nduna very well. And, you know, we have had programs here in South Orange and Mayport, and the programs that actually you see, you know, sometimes 50, 75 kids after school, you know, in these programs. You see the recreation department having after school programs. You see the recreation program having summer programs. You know, I want you guys to talk a little bit about, you know, because this is so important. It is the utmost important that you keep the kids busy. Why would a guy, I know Nduna very well, if you start a program for soccer, right, it not just have to be soccer only. It could be for basketball, it could be for tennis, it could be for baseball, it could be for softball. But just think about it. Let's say you have 50 kids in soccer, after school program, 50 kids in tennis, 50 kids in lacrosse, 50 kids in baseball, 50 kids in softball. Before long, you have almost 300 to 400 kids out there playing a sport and not involved in anything else. And mind you, when they are finished, they are going to be too tired to go and do anything else. Talk a little bit about that.
Let me take the first response on that, because Ndune and I talked about that. One of the things that we wanted to do as a way of as an internship program was to target all the high school teenagers that are involved in tennis, that are involved in soccer. Train them, certify them. Mr. Nduna is a certified trainer. He certifies coaches. And then have those teenagers, okay, serve as coaches for the younger individuals. You basically have a dual positive effect by doing that. Number one, the teenager that has no option, that would normally be recruited by a gang, would have a positive alternative, not only to be engaged where he's getting mentoring and tutoring, and he's under the leadership of the likes of Nduna, who is a world-renowned soccer coach, but he's also getting college training and college community service credit, and of course he gets to be introduced to a young lady such as Mrs. Passad, who is a professor at Rutgers University and Monmouth College. Now, why do I think that's a positive? It's a positive because anytime you take a young person that is in need of guidance and you put them in an environment where they can get multiple mentoring, tutoring, tutelage, and meet individuals who are professional. If they want to be a police officer, well, we have a mayor that's a police officer. If they want to be in the military, we also have someone that duels as a person with over 24 years in the military. If they want to be a business person, okay, we need to create all over Irvington. And I'm not talking about just show up when there is a fair, Irvington Fair. I'm not talking about that. Those are the Band-Aids on a broken leg. What I'm talking about is consistent, sustainable activities that would promote positivity, that would be a win-win situation. Those kids are going to get a stipend. They're going to get money to save for college. They're going to earn it honestly. And at the same time, they're going to get the knowledge. They're going to get the know-how. I'm an expert in math and science. So if a kid came to me and said, I wanted to be a physicist or I wanted to be a doctor, years ago, I used to work with members of the community to get them into medical school. Those are the types of innovative ways that we are sure that nobody else has. Small business development.
No, Jude. No, Jude. I know that what we want to do here, we want to kind of, just to show that your team is a very diverse team, we wanted to give some of the listeners out there who are actually listening and are from Haiti and speak Creole. We wanted to give a little bit here in Creole. You know, we do things a little differently here in the Village With Anselm and the South Orange Mayport Online Radio Experience. And as I said in the past, not because this station is South Orange Mayport Online Radio Experience, I believe that Irvington is of significant importance to the community of South Orange and Mayport. So, Jude, give us a little translation there in your Creole, you know.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is kind of put a briefing to what's been said so far. Right. And mon captain de radio à un moment ça, c'est Jude de Onsre Oupi, zami pa nou, et k'ap kouri pour council, nous nan radio qui c'est somor.com et nous sommes avec Jeanette Tisson k'ap kouri pour magistrat et nous gagnons Valérie Perso k'ap kouri pour council at large et puis moi-même tout Jude de Onsre nous fait partie de team avec Altarik Chabaz également. Donc je ne dis à nous chaque introduit tête nous et Jeanette Tisson c'est un monde qui a expérience dans law enforcement, c'est un police officer et c'est un monde qui vient porter sécurité dans Irvington. Et Miss Valérie Perso c'est un avocat, c'est un professeur dans Rutgers University et c'est un monde qui est très habile et pratiquement dans le programme social et des jeunes et dans une série de programmes. Nous gagnons Altarik Chabaz également qui sont social workers qui travaillent en pile avec monde qui n'a nécessité, monde qui n'a besoin, monde qui a un problème social. Moi-même qui sont éducateurs et qui sont bankers également, nous avons pile d'expérience dans le domaine économique avec dans la communication et puis dans la gestion d'une manière générale. Donc c'est l'équipe ça qui vient parler aujourd'hui. Et dernier sujet que nous avons abordé, c'est ça nous est les public safety et problème crime dans Irvington et nous pensons que dans un moment puis bon magistrat Irvington besoin c'est Jeanette Tisson pour expérience que le gagne dans la criminalité, c'est ça le fait pour le vivre, son police officer depuis 23 ans, c'est un monde qui était dans l'armée. Donc dans un moment là pas grand qu'a fait dans Irvington sans pas gain sécurité. On va parler de job, on va parler de récréation, on va parler d'éducation, si pas gain sécurité dans Irvington pas gain qu'a fait et dans un moment c'est Jeanette Tisson que Irvington besoin pour sécurité. Nous parler de éducation également, after school programme et qui nécessaire. Donc nous tout team ça et nous parer pour nous gérer.
Thank you so much. And you know, the reason why I think that is so important is because I mean, when you're creating a team in order to run a township, especially in a township like Irvington, you know, you need to have a diversified team that can reach out to many different individuals. I mean, you talk about, you know, the Haitian community, you talk about a professor, you talk about a police that has years of experience, you know, and dealing with shot spotter. And I got to tell you, I am a big fan of shot spotter because in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, I used to be, you know, making comments on the radio quite often. And I told them, since we have in the Caribbean these days, we have high crime. I told them that Shot Spotter would have been a good thing for the country, but I mean, they didn't want to listen to a little guy like me